Hello, fourth graders. Your first video this week is going to be reviewing different types of triangles, which is what we did before spring break. You have two different worksheets you are going to be doing. If you are on paper copy, you are going to be writing your answers directly on the worksheet. So you would write your answers right here, and then the second worksheet for this lesson is right here. If you are doing items on Google Classroom, remember you can't write your answers directly on this worksheet. We had to give you a separate document, which I will talk about in a minute. Okay, let's begin our review. The three types of triangles that we want you to refresh on are the obtuse triangle, right triangle, and acute triangle. Let's look at the differences between the different triangles. With the obtuse triangle, there has to be one obtuse angle. Remember, obtuse is larger than 90 degrees. So we have a tiny angle right here, and we have a tiny angle here. But then we look at this angle, and it is definitely larger than 90 degrees. That's obtuse. And since it has an obtuse angle, it is called an obtuse triangle. Same thing goes with right triangle, except for you have to have one right angle. So again, take a look at the right angle. And acute angle means all three angles are acute. This is where it gets confusing because some people look at this and go, well, there's an acute angle, so it's an acute. No. If all three angles are acute, then it's considered an acute triangle. Okay, now let's go ahead and go down to the worksheet because there's some clarification I want to do with this worksheet. When you have to name the triangle, all they're asking you to do is tell us what points they're using. So if I were to name this, first of all, I know it's a triangle. And then what letters am I naming? Well, I have an X, I have a Y, and I have a Z. And that's how I name it. Then I look at the angle of X and go, okay, well, what type of angle that is? Well, that's very much so smaller than 90 degrees. So I know that's an acute. So I would write acute right here. Okay. Now let me show you what it would look like on a document if you're doing this through Google Classroom. Okay. If you're doing it through a document, again, name that triangle. Now you're going to be typing, which means you can't put that triangle sign. So then in that case, you would just write down X. Whoops. Sorry, let me get to the pen. X, Y, and Z. And then what type of angle was X? If you remember, it was an acute. So then you would write acute right there. Okay? Do you guys understand? I hope so. I think you guys have this. This is a pretty simple worksheet. Okay? The next worksheet that I want to go over that you're going to be expecting to do is classifying quadrilaterals. Now, let's look at this task analysis. I love how they laid this out. Remember that a quadrilateral is a polygon, okay? A polygon that has four sides and four angles, okay? So let's look at this first quadrilateral. This is a quadrilateral. Why is it a quadrilateral? Because it has four sides, 1, 2, 3, 4. It also has four angles. Remember angles. So this is an angle. This is a symbol to represent angles, by the way. That's an angle. That's an angle, and that's an angle, okay? Now, if we look within the quadrilaterals, we have what's called a parallelogram. We know it's parallelogram because this line is the same as this line, and we have this line that's the same as this line, okay? Now, a trapezoid has exactly one pair of parallel sides. Parallel means they run along each other like that. Okay. Then we have rectangle, which again has four right angles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it also has parallel sides. So this is parallel with this line, and this one is parallel with this line. Okay, rhombus has four sides and they're equally the same, but notice how these ones kind of go at a diagonal. That's okay. They're still the same measurement. Same with this one. This is the same length as the other lines. That's called a rhombus. And last but not least, we have a square. And a square, it has right angles and four sides that are exactly the same. Now, using all of this that we have been given, you then have to classify and tell us these shapes. Now, these shapes could be multiple things. If I had a square, for an example, I also know that within this square, it would be considered a quadrilateral. Why would this square be considered a quadrilateral? Look at the square. Does it have four sides? Yes. Does it have four angles? Yes. So it's a square. However, it's also considered a quadrilateral. Let's look at some others. Parallelogram. Parallelogram says it's two pairs of parallel sides. Well, this is parallel with this one. It has at least two, so it's a parallelogram also. So not only is this a square, but this is a parallelogram. This is a quadrilateral. Okay, well, what else could I consider this? Does it have four right angles and four pairs? Yes. So it's also a rectangle. Do you see what I'm doing? What I'm doing is I'm able to take shapes and put characteristics with it. So let's look at this first one right here. What would this shape be considered? Well, if I go up and I look at my images, and I'm actually going to, let's see, can I fit it all in one spot? Barely. Okay. So if I look at this image, could this be possibly a quadrilateral? Well, a quadrilateral says, that it has four sides, four angles. Does this have four sides? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Does it have angles? 1, 2, 3, 4. Aha. So yes, this could also be, whoops, trying to move it up. This right here could be a quadrilateral. So I would write quadrilateral here. And I'm kind of going into the other line because of my pen being quite large, but you get the point. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back up, and then we're going to take a look at some other characteristics. Could that image be a parallelogram, which means could it have two pairs of parallel sides? Well, this side right here is different than this side, so they're not parallel. This side right here is longer than this side, so no, it's not a parallelogram. What about a trapezoid? Exactly one pair of parallel sides. Well, this is parallel with this pair, with this one. So yes, this could be also a trapezoid. So I am going to come up here and I'm going to write down trapezoid. Okay, I'm going to look at the rest of these characteristics and see if they can qualify. Could it be a rectangle, which means it has four right angles? Well, I'm looking at this, and this is definitely not a right angle right there. So no, it can't be a rectangle. Rhombus, four sides of equal length. Well, I know that this one's much shorter than this one, so it can't be a rhombus. And then equal sides, equal length, it can't be a square. So this image right here can only be a quadrilateral and a trapezoid. Now, notice how they gave you lots of lines. Did I fill up all of the lines on number one? No, I did not. Is there a possibility you will fill up all of the lines? Yes, there definitely is. Okay, let me show you what the worksheet would look like that goes with this. This is going to be classifying quadrilaterals. Let me go ahead and open this up. This is what your worksheet would look like. So number one is right here, and you would write down all of the things that you were listing. So for this one, I don't have a lot of space because of this pen, but number one we thought was a quadrilateral. And number one we thought was also considered a trapezoid. Okay, and then you would do the same thing for question number 2 and question number 3. Okay, have a good day.